As Buck made his way down the road to somewhere, he came to the gateway of Watts Ferris Fair. By the gate sat an old man, a tired old guide, who spoke about what could be found just inside. There's a great growth that grew from a plant with 3 stems. But 2 didn't make it when all this began. Oh, stem A and stem B withered up and are gone, but stem C survived, and the C stem grows on.
The C stem I must see and learn why it is there.
Well, my son, you must pass through the gate, if you dare. But be warned, you might earn only strands of white hair by trying to learn how the C stem relates to Watts Fair.
Ah. This place is a jungle. It goes on for days. Can I find this C stem and Watts Fair in this maze?
If a jungle you seek, you've not found one. Instead, it's the sea stem you see looming over our heads. I can show you the sea stem. It's fairly well known. But now as for Watts Fair, that you must find alone. I am Sidney Issen. What can I call you, kid?
Mr. Issen, call me Buck.
You can call me Sid.
Citizen, I was told by the man in the chair that the C stem was based on the grounds of Watts Fair. And I thought by the sign that I read by the gate, I'd find Watts Ferris Fair if I came to this place.
You remind me, just after I first came around, I became much involved once the C stem was found. And in spite of time spent, and I have spent a lot, I have not discovered Watts Fair. And since I forgot.
Can this be Watts Fair if you found out a trace in all the time that you've spent at this place?
You know, very often I've given that question some thought. To be clear, I suppose I should start from the start. After sprouting the sea stem, at least I am told, being left unattended grew out of control. As it grew, it revolved and it twisted and twirled, and in time it wound up in a great big whirl. It grew so heavy and sagged and began to distort, so the people nearby started adding supports. So when I arrived, I decided to help to support the sea stem, just like everyone else. And now, it would appear, though it seems a bit rotten, what's needed was realized, what's fair was forgotten.
Sidney, this is so silly I can hardly believe it. Why don't you pack all your things and just leave it?
I can see that my careless neglect to inform of an obvious detail has caused your alarm. Overhead, all around, almost down to its roots, the sea stem produces a most wondrous fruit.
Ah, Sid, you're right. Oh, come on, give me a bite. Oh, I have never had such fruit fill my sight.
Take it easy now. Take it easy, my friend. You need not go berserk. If you want to get fruit of your own, you must work. Now, if you'll be calm for a minute and listen, I'll tell you of the fruit in the way of the sea stem. You must work all day long, yes, and sometimes at night, to be sure that the sea stem is functioning right. And about once a week, many fruit will appear, and you're welcome to grab all the ones that are near. If you work on those days you could spend at the beach, then you're welcome to grab all the ones you can reach. Oh, but keep this in mind as you're filling your sack. For every 2 picked, you must give 1 fruit back.
Give 1 fruit back? Do you mean to amuse after all the hard work? Well, what if I refuse?
Refused? You are loony. So as sure as fact is you're trying to give me a heart attack. Well, they'll take away your fruit, and they'll take away your things, and they'll put you where even the birds never sing. They'll do you like this, and they'll do you like that. And they'll trample on you as if you were a mat. They'll tell everyone, even old friends from camp, how you turned out to be nothing more than a tramp. And then you'll be ruined, and then you'll be scorned, till they have you regretting the day you were born.
Question answered, my friend, in a most vivid way. But citizen, who is you speak of? Who are they?
Buck, they are those people who make it their business to regulate rules as if they were all princes. And they have the right, by their own definition, to confiscate fruit to improve their position.
So where do they work? That part seems a bit hazy. Near here, I presume?
The poor lad must be crazy. Kid, seeking round here, you won't find one of them. Everyone knows that they live above the sea stem, above all its twisting and winding and curls. For those people live high up, on top of the world.
The idea that everyone would, just to please them, give half of their fruit away won't stand to reason. So tell me, my friend, for the fruit they extract, do these lofty dependents give anything back?
Well, they take away fruit so that they'll have enough to use it doing all kinds of stuff, like the portion that's spent on 100% meadow pie fertilizer to feed the sea stem. And some is kept flowing to companies mowing out walkways and roads so that we can keep going. And some of it's marked to create picnic parks where we can take our doggies to bark. And we go there in packs just to lie on our backs when our melons so ripe they are ready to crack. And with fruit going every which way you can guess, what gets lost is no less than a lot in the process. Now we've talked long enough. Let's get on the ball, because if we don't support the sea stem, it will fall.
Do you think it would help us if anyone knows where the fruit that is lost during processing goes?
But the answer is no. And no one really cares, just as long as the ones they can keep remain theirs. We need to get busy, for we realize that we can keep is barely enough to survive.
But Sid, don't you see, if we find what is lost, then you can all have more fruit at no extra cost. And less work you will have with more time to have fun. And more fruit there will be for everyone. And when you've had a moment to breathe the fresh air, then maybe you'll remember that this is what's fair.
Instead, even though you present a good case, maybe I should recall that you're new to this place. We must tend to the sea stem, for we know full well there'd be no fruit at all if we stopped and it fell. No one has the time to go searching about. For the fruit of he who stops producing runs out. Then maybe we should, so that we do not stall, be content to accept this is no fair at all.
I cannot accept that, and I must find some help. If I can't find it here, then I'll look someplace else. To the top of the world is where I aim to go, up above the sea stem, where I bet they will know.
So, Buck studied the sea stem, and soon he did find a good place to begin. And he started to climb. Near the base, it was twisted like tangled barbed wire. He made his way through, and he climbed even higher. He nearly was blocked by the thick central core, but he found his way past, and he climbed even more. And when he looked up and could see the last curl,
This is it!
he exclaimed,
I'm on top of the world!
and when moving the last of the sea stem aside of the dazzling sight filled his gandering eyes, there was fruit everywhere with thousands to spare, and the people who lived there could hardly compare to the people who lived where this fruit was so rare. And so Buck, mesmerized, could do nothing but stare. And he watched as they used fruit in ways most amazing. For heat, they had fruit-filled furnaces blazing. The houses they lived on were built on fruit piers, and they all had fruit doorknobs and fruit chandeliers. Every dog that was out for a walk in the weather was dressed in a lavish fruit fiber dog sweater. These people on high used their fruit to make pie, and they all seemed to love having pie in the sky. But the main thing that Buck found to be most confusing was fruit stacked in piles they weren't even using. So he, wanting answers, decided to stop by a man who was sitting in front of a shop.
Do you know people up here know that people below have to work day and night and must stay on the go to support the same sea stem that you all live high on, while they barely have enough fruit to get by on?
My goodness, how observant of you. And so now what do you propose we should do?
Well, since you keep the fruit just sitting around here in stacks, I don't think it would hurt you to give some fruit back.
Give some fruit back? Did you come here to say we should undo our stacks and just give fruit away?
Yeah.
How can you understand what it's taken so far to just get to things to be just the way that they are?
Oh, but sir, don't you know that the people down there would be much better off if this fruit you would share?
And just what in the world makes you think we should care? Where the heck do you think we are?
What's fair is fair. And it seems that since you here on top are aware that your world is held up by the people down there, you would give back this fruit that you won't even miss.
That may be what it seems, but that's not how it is. Those who work down below, if we gave this fruit back, would go tutti-frutti wild and not know how to act. I could just see them slacking and having a ball. Those supports unattended collapse on them all. If not that, they'd rebel and there'd be a dispute till the fruit stacks ran out, and then we'd all have no fruit. So since we on top know what's best, naturally what's fair has now become what we say it should be.
Sir, I've been below because I had to begin there. You call this Watts Fair because you've never been there. Where fruit in abundance is used as a lure, then it's taken up here, and then what it's used for, but a structure that just keeps them working for more, so that nature itself now requires our support. So I say on behalf of citizens everywhere, happiness can't be found in what you call Watts Fair.
And as Buck strutted off, with an air most appalling, he slipped on a fruit, and he found himself falling, and down to the sea step he tumbled so fast that his scream held a Doppler effect. Well, not far away, Sid and some friends he could trust were discussing some things he and Buck had discussed. And just when they agreed that the lad may be right, down came Buck with a crash at the end of his flight. The sea stem, due to lack of support, became slightly unstable and started to shake. As it shook, there were those who cared not in the least, till it shook even more, and the movement increased. Then Sid and his friends and a big crowd was drawn to Buck, who sat dazed, not knowing what was going on. Being aware the sea stem at the spot where it weakened would fall and crush Buck, they cried out,
Buck, the sea stem!
Then Buck, Sid, and everyone there at the site worked intensely to right the sea stem, but in spite of their efforts, it still rocked as still more supports puffed, and it shook those on top, who cried out. But the sea stem was knocked all about in the shock, causing its dire stack of fruit stacks to rock. And from bouncing around, from stacks did rebound through the sea stem and down all the way to the ground. And changing the weight when fruit fell from above gave the people a chance to gain more control of a much lighter sea stem. It was, unlike before, less top-heavy, and soon it was shaking no more. And when fruit had come down and they no longer rained, those who held fruit above all the world thought it strange that a much better form of the sea stem remained. And the world wasn't lost, so they went with the change. And they all marked the day that the sea stem was shaken and gathered the fruit for a big celebration. They danced and they dined on fruit cake and fruit pie that indeed was as tasty as pie in the sky.
On this day I declare, no expense has been spared. This, my friends, is more like what I would call Watts Fair.
I'm beginning to feel that this festival's real. Things are different here now that Watts Fair is revealed. And unless I'm mistaken, I find being awakened that we get more fruit when the sea stem is shaken. And I must admit that it can be unfit, and when so, maybe then we should shake it a bit.
Oh, we're happy, and would be forever content if the passing of time could be theirs to prevent. For the things that they learn could bring wonders, but yet will in time leave their minds, because people forget. But whenever the sea stem requires so much of their time and their minds that they seem to lose touch of the fact that the main thing that brought them there was the promise that they would find Watts Fair's fair, then someone will remind them to never forget that the sea stem should serve them, not have them serve it. But for now, all is fine, for a message has reached them, and they have learned much about
Buck and the sea stem!